Hello. I left the fan on like on high, so I apologize immediately for that. I took my glasses off because I suppose I really have no real reason to see myself, and these are like bifocal glasses, which bifocals are hateful because it's like you have something on your lens all the time. And they're very annoying, and I've only been wearing them because I've been money conscious and haven't wanted to reorder contacts without going to the eye doctor and getting, I think my eyes may have gotten a little worse. That's just the same old boring shit, though. I really wanted to tell you about this day that I had, and it's always a challenge for me to speak succinctly and clearly and in an expeditious fashion on here because that is not my nature. I am more the straw hat, corn cob type, feet up on the cracker barrel, talking, Jimmy, back in my day type of guy. That's just how I am. Uh, that's maybe because I am old. It may be because in my day we didn't watch a lot of TV. We didn't have video games that speed up attention spans, like go 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 do or whatever. But I think meditate. I think alpha waves and meditative states and calm relaxation highly underrated. But anyways, so here was my day today. I have plenty of things to do. So naturally, I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning because I haven't slept right since the crackheads messed with me on the 12th of April, and so naturally, I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, I don't think it's. I took pills, but I'm like, eh. I took a Valium and a blood pressure pill, hoping I could doze and go wake up at 7 or 8 in the morning. Didn't happen. So, I'm just chomping at the bit to make these phone calls. So I'm like, well, let's see, which one of these stupid phone calls do I want to make first? Oh, I'll call my orthopedic surgeon that I can't get them to fax my records from one place to another place. So I called up Tri-County Orthopedics to get them to fax the records to uh, Cleveland Clinic in Medina County. And I'm trying, I'm not Mr. Personality. You know this by now. You know, I'm not the kind of obsequious, kind of like, I really like you kind of guy. But I've been trying like to be personable and saying just random things like human beings might say. Instead of just saying like, I'm here to do business, let's just get this business done so I can get off the fucking phone and go back to being a miserable old son of a bitch. So, I'm like, one of the phone calls I was like, I'm sorry if I sound grumpy, I just had to make a lot of phone calls this morning and, just saying stuff like that, like conversational shit. I've been trying this new having a personality thing out, and like being friendly to try to get things done. Totally against my nature because I don't believe in bullshit. I don't like it. Like it's like I told the guy that had PTSD who was actually dangerous. Told him like, don't knock on my door. I didn't say it in a polite fashion. I just said, don't knock on my door. I don't want you knocking on my door. You know. And that's a guy who was in a war and shot at people. So he said he claims he never had to kill nobody, but I mean, if you're shooting at people, how the fuck do you know if you killed them or not? He used to be like a guard on the wall for a brief time at the same airfield as my niece when she was working as a civilian contractor. But anyway, that is neither here nor there. And but so I'm calling up and I'm making my phone calls and I'm like, okay, I'm like, I got the fax number to this Garcella guy. Dr. Cochran referred me, and I'm being, real proficient about it, and they're like, oh, we'll do that, blah, blah, blah. That's my woman voice. And So I call my regular doctor, who suggested that I call Tri-County Orthopedics instead of trying to do it myself and call Altman, which Altman was like, "Fuck you, we don't send faxes." To a guy who says we only take faxes. He said, "Well, call the guy who recommended you to go to Cleveland Clinic." And I'm like, "Duh, it's a doctor, he'll use his magic doctor powers. I'm just an ordinary human being patient. I am a peon. I am nothing. In the eyes of a doctor, a patient is nothing and nobody and knows nothing." So I call up my own doctor, Dr. Wacky Pants, because I know that he scheduled the MRI. I told Tri-County Orthopedics, like, they're like, "We can send all your medical records." And I'm like, "Do that. Send all my medical records." And they're like, "Okay." Gave him the fax number. I called up my doctor who ordered the MRI, which was the only test that I think wasn't ordered by Tri-County Orthopedics. So I called him up and I told him that, I told the receptionist I need the records faxed. And she said, "Well, I'll call you back later." And I said, "Honey, as good as your voice sounds, I don't think we need to talk twice. Got the fax number right here. You can just leave the message for the doctor and leave it up to the doctor whether to do whatever." And I don't know if women like to be called honey in this day and age by strangers, but I think it's okay if you're an old man. You can use your old man powers to get away with things like that, like "sweetheart," "darling," "honey." You can say things like that because you're no longer considered a sexual being and a threat in any way, especially if you're all crippled up. So if I did that shit 20 years ago, it's a whole different deal. But anyways, so I make these phone calls and I'm like, "Well, I this is my deadline about the weird threatening letter that I got. I already sent something in the mail saying I have no idea what you people are talking about. So, but I'm going to investigate to the best of my ability. My care source manager is on vacation, and she handles that Medicaid and Medicare. It's a combined thing. They combine them together, and they call it My Care Source Ohio is my insurance. So I wrote him a letter to make sure I got a letter in there on the second. And then I called him 8:30 in the morning, first thing in the morning on the second. And I got somebody live. I was Mr. Personality, and very good at faking, uh, being a nice guy, which I guess is what you have to do. And which I am a nice guy, but I don't like, small talk, meaningless, like, it just seems like a kiss-assy type of conversation, or whatever the fuck it is. It's like, you know, it's not. I actually read the book Dale Carnegie, How to Influence People and Win Friends. And I'm like, I ain't doing none of this shit. So I call up uh, Jobs and Family Services, and there's $200 riding in the balance on it. And I'm like, "Look, I already sent you guys a letter, just in case." But I spoke to I found my case manager finally called me back. She talked to their Medicaid specialist. She said that 505 is, and I quote, no longer in my file. Which that's all they wanted me to do was write a letter that said it was no longer in a part of my case or in my file, and then sign it and date it. That's all they wanted me to do. But I couldn't do that if I didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. I was like, I don't know what they're talking about or what it's about. I have to find out what it's about before I go like writing letters saying that it's not on my records. Then it comes back on my records and I'm guilty of fraud. So I keep having that hiccup thing, which is a bad sign for people with heart problems. They always ask you that, if you get like weird like weird things like that going on. Um, anyways, It's not really a hiccup. It's some kind of weird thing that has to do with your heart. But anyways, I'm talking to this lady and everything's going swimmingly, and she's like, "Well, I'm going to put that note in here that you called, but I would recommend that you write that letter anyway and send it in, and you put your case number on it." And I said, "Well, the case number I have on this paper is blah 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 blah." And he said, "Yeah, put that number down." And I'm like, "Okay, I can do that." And so I'm like, "Okay, all right, that's all my phone business that I got, you know, done." So I said I should be cool with that, and not lose my $200, which is a big deal to a poor person to lose $200 off their income. Um, so yeah, I'm cool with that. All right. So the next item of business is to try to stay awake because I had got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I was like got real sleepy around 10 o'clock, and I was in pain, and I took some of that gabapentin or Neurontin. It's just the generic name for Neurontin, or is it vice versa? Who the fuck knows or cares? But I took some of that, and you know, that was proved to be not wise because it makes you a little bit sleepy, and then I was already sleepy on top of it, but my leg was hurting like a bitch, which was a presage or a omen of things to come. Because I'm waiting for the Meals on Wheels people, right? I'm going to use some language here that people are probably not going to like. But they have a retard bus where, to get the community involved, or, to make the retards feel like they're helping people. And, I'm always nice to them and stuff, but that's just what we call people that were mentally disabled, slow, whatever the politically correct term is for somebody who's not quite as smart as the average person. If you want me to call them not quite as smart as the average person, that quite doesn't quite cut it, but in my book. But anyways, the retard bus pulls up in front of the house. So like I'm just sitting there trying to stay awake, drinking coffee, waiting for my Meals on Wheels shipment to come. And I'm like, okay, it's here. All right, that's cool. And the guy backs the bus up like about 4 or 5 houses, and I look out the window and I'm like, what the hell's he doing? And then these really messed up people, like where one guy was helping the other guy, like holding his arm, and they were carrying boxes into like 3 or 4 of these not as smart as the average person people were to carry the boxes to the wrong house. And I watched him out the window be rejected and carry the boxes back to the bus. So at this point, I'm like, I should just yell at, do an Andrew Dice Clay and just yell out the window, yo, retard! Like to get their attention, to get them to bring the stuff to the right house. But I was thinking in my head, like maybe somebody else, when I saw him carrying the boxes toward the house, I'm like, well, maybe somebody else in the neighborhood signed up for Meals on Wheels. I mean, before I'm the only guy on the street that gets Meals on Wheels, and that these weird little buses, they look like mini SARTA buses, like the Proline buses, like show up, and then these not quite as smart as the average person people come out, and then they give you your boxes, and I'm always real nice to them, of course. Uh, so I didn't act, which I should have been like, yo, right away, but I didn't act. But then they were carrying it back, and I got to thinking about it. And so I get out on the porch, and I start waving my cane like, I am the crippled guy in question. I'm waving my cane like I'm flagging down a plane. Like, I am the crippled guy in question that needs the groceries that you're delivering to the wrong house. Why your bus driver? I didn't know if they give driver's license to people who are not quite as smart as the average person or not, but this guy was acting like one because you can read the number really big on my house that he was already parked in front of parked in front of the right house, but he went and packed up and delivered to the wrong house. So I'm sleepy as fuck at this point and irritated. I go out on the porch, like I said. I wave my cane around, trying to get his attention. he zooms past me, like doesn't even look at me. I'm just sitting there waving my cane. I should have been yelling at the retarded people. Excuse me, but not quite as bright as the average person people are, when they were carrying the boxes to get their attention. But I didn't want to yell at them. I just waved my cane in their general direction and continued to wave my cane on the porch to like I'm flagging down an airplane, like with the flags, and the guy just drives by. So I'm like, fuck, I'm like, where's my phone at? And I'm sleepy as hell. I'm not walking for shit, and I take my cane, and if I fall, like in certain places, it's not so bad. But on Saturday, I fell and I hit my elbow on the arm of the chair, and this is my torn rotator cuff arm, so it had an effect on me. But this time, I made a mistake. The phone was in my bedroom, and I made a mistake of falling in the doorway to my bedroom after I got the phone, which means that I slammed my left shin bone against the door jamb, and which I did not enjoy. And I landed on my elbow, and again wrenched. When I was making my gestures, that was actually hurting me. But I again wrenched my previously injured shoulder with the rotator cuff problem. So I'm already having a fun day, and I'm like, got the phone, and I'm like, called Meals on Wheels, and I'm like, look, um, is this the day that I'm supposed to be delivered for groceries? Because I think I just saw them delivered to the wrong house. And the lady's like, well, you're still out for delivery, and they have an 11 to 1 o'clock window. So I wait till 1 o'clock, and nobody comes. And I fall asleep. Like, I was like, well, I'll call in a minute here. And I fall asleep in the chair. Now, the lady that's supposed to come here and investigate the house over the motorized scooter thing is supposed to show up at 3 o'clock. She calls me and wakes me up, like, I don't know, no idea when, but she's like, can I come early? I'm like, I can be there in like 15 minutes. And I'm like, sure. I'm half awake. And then while she's coming, I call Meals on Wheels, and I tell them, like, look, man, I did not get my shipment. And they're like, we're so sorry that happened. So, we'll send the not so smart as the average people back tomorrow. And, maybe I'll sit on the porch with a walker and paint it like hunter orange to make sure I get my shit. But, so I paid my brother, like, which he deserves it. Very loyal and a very good worker. But I paid him $200 to clean up my whole house because it was just a disaster. Because like my leg sucks. Obviously, if I'm falling it and slamming it into doorways and creating contusions like a bump on my leg with a laceration on top of it. So uh, I didn't need to do that. When she's welcome to the money, I'm not greedy. I don't care. But her only job was to measure my doorways and to measure the areas that the scooters would go through. So I'm talking to her, and she's very nice, very friendly, very efficient with her job. But she's telling me my options are limited because I am not fat. So I don't get the good scooter because I'm not fat. I lied about my weight. I said I weighed 180 when I'm probably like 174 or something like that. You know, uh, since I've had the insomnia for going on a month, my appetite and sex drive went bye-byes altogether. Which, that one thing, I don't care what anybody says, that is important to your mental health and keeping you in a good mood. Uh, so, anyways, um, so what I find out is she's starting to talk power chair again, and I have to go into this appointment, and they're going to evaluate me. I go to this physical therapy appointment first, and she said the earliest you could possibly get any kind of motorized anything would be 3 months. And she said it's rarely within 3 months. So that would be May, June, July. It'll be August before I can get out of here if I go that route. So um, I'm thinking this isn't good. But no, then it gets worse. She's like, I will try to get you like this heavy duty scooter because you are 6'1", and then I like being a clever lad said that yeah, I was reading reviews on scooters and they said a lot of tall people in certain scooters have problems because they're made to fit smaller people, so their legs are cramped up and they have trouble bending their legs. And I even read a review about a guy who lets his bad leg lean over the front wheel because the wheel has like a fender on it, you know. And she's like, yeah, 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 you know, she bought that, and then, but she's the last thing she says, she's like, they may go with the motorized wheelchair, and I'm like, I don't know what a motorized wheelchair is, but I do not like the idea of like zooming downhill with nothing in front of me, where I could just like be dumped out of the wheelchair. You know, I can operate like a scooter with a brake and all that shit, but I don't know what a motorized wheelchair is like. So I could be jumping through all these hoops and going through all this trouble to get something that I don't even want. So, you know, I haven't made up my plan yet about what I'm going to do or whether I want to even go to the appointment or whether I want to try to rent a scooter, you know, or how it's going to turn out, you know. If they get me a motorized wheelchair, then I will just dump, you know, 2 grand on, which I can't afford, but I will do it anyway, on a good scooter. Uh, just because I can't, it's a hill like this. I cannot picture being in a wheelchair going downhill. I've seen that in too many movies with the guy in the runaway wheelchair going down hills. I just don't like that whole idea. And then, like, what can I carry on a wheelchair if I do go grocery shopping? So, uh, today sucked balls. So I was like, no, fuck this. I'm sleepy. As soon as the lady left, you know, he gave me the bad news about having to go to another appointment to see a physical therapist and the possibility of it actually being a motorized wheelchair and not a scooter anyway. And the fact that it's going to be till August till I even get anything. Um, I'm like, I got to go to sleep. You know, I'm tired. I was even on the computer, like trying to like order stuff, and I couldn't read. I was so sleepy. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go to sleep. And so I was trying to order roach motels for my new roach problem, thanks to because that's actually, you know, people have this myth about like you keep a filthy house, that's why you get roaches. Listen, I have never been the king of cleanliness, and I've lived for years without roaches. The way roaches get into buildings is somebody has roaches. They carry their possessions into the house. The roaches are in their possessions or in their furniture, and then they come out, and then they go into other apartments. That is how you get roaches. I am 1,000% positive that the situation is where this new problem is coming from. So I'm like, I'm not satisfied with buying, like, I found out I didn't get a good deal anyway, but I was like, 4 boxes of roach, or no, 4 roach motels. No, I need more. So I bought 6 more. But I buy 10 of them. So I could, the print was blurring and stuff, so I went to sleep. So I wake up and I'm trying to find something to watch, you know, and I woke up like I woke up at 8:46, and I hate this. I thought it was the morning the next day, but I found out it was still the same like Groundhog Day, the same like miserable fucking day that I was having. I'm hurting like a bastard because of my fall, which I was wondering how I would feel when I woke up, because a lot of time the pain doesn't set in when you fall like that for a while. At least for me, anyway, with my weird body. So I'm like, I'm hurting like a fucking bastard. And then, okay, let me see about this. If my calls about my food benefits did any good. So punch in the number. They're like, put in your card number. My card is canceled completely now, which means even the $68 that I had left on my card when I was eligible is wiped out. So I actually lost $68 on top of the $200 a month. So at least temporarily, those benefits are suspended. So, that makes a big difference. If your income, like my income, I might as well tell you, is like counting all my resources and counting the Wheels on Meals value, it's like around $1,600 a month, which is actually the most money I've ever had in my life to work with, but is still poverty level. It's still poverty level. It's not. I'm not going to be going out and blowing money at a strip bar or buying fur coats and diamond rings. Is but so I got 200 less than that now, and I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, today was just not a good day, and I'm looking at a bad night because I took, due to the pain that I'm in, I took 300 milligrams gabapentin, a blood pressure pill, 20 milligrams of Valium. I was hoping to go to sleep and, you know, try to get back to some normal kind of schedule. But the good news is that the crackhead people have been leaving me alone. You know, no involvement with the crackhead people. The boat guy, I haven't heard from. I heard from my aunt like once, and we had a brief conversation. But as far as I'm concerned, that house is over with. I saw the PTSD guy a couple of times, and he was talking real loud on the porch while my brother was in here working his ass off, like he tends to do, doing housework. And anyways, uh, totally lost my train of thought, but that was my day to day. And I have a headache, of course, to go on top of it. And yeah, I don't know if I mentioned the part where I think Tri County faxed me my own medical records, which I got a call. I'm actually trying to take a piss, and I have to keep the phone by me because I made all these phone calls. And they call me like when I'm getting ready to do it, and pick up the phone off the toilet tank, and I'm hearing fax noises, and I'm like, these dumb sons of bitches are faxing me my medical records. It's like I gave them the fax number to the Cleveland Clinic, so I got to call them tomorrow. I don't know if I mentioned that already or not, but that was just like, yeah, today was just like not a good day. Uh, yeah, so I'm gonna leave it at that, and I think I already took aspirin for my head. I think my head is just hurts because it hurts. So I'm just gonna leave that alone. I don't know what to do about the feeling this bad, physically. Emotionally, I kind of expect everything to go all fucked up. There's just something about me that pisses the universe off. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know what it is. Um, I can't help it. Universe, I am who I am. You made me this way. So, you know, It's not really 100% my fault that I'm a dick. I can try not to be a dick. I do. I try to be nice to people. I try to be personable. Uh, but yeah, um, if you would have like gave me a better head start as far as living, and didn't have me grow up with killers and sociopaths and whatnot, maybe things would have worked out different. But that is not a very succinct way to tell this day. But this was a very long day for me, and that is 30 minutes, which is a mere hiccup of a video for me. So, yeah, at this point, I would probably, if I were you, I would just probably stop watching my videos because, frankly, uh, they're just depressing to me at this point. So, you know, maybe they might be interesting from the outside. Like, it's fun to watch a sad movie sometimes, especially women, they like to watch sad movies. It's like, have a good, and have a good cry over them. Not that anybody would cry over me or anything like that. But, you know, women are so funny. It's like they enjoy crying. It's like crying is like one of the worst things, you know. And they were always like telling me, like the people, women in my family would be telling me like you need a good cry. And I'm like, no, crying makes me sicker than hell. It makes me feel like shit. It's like I can express my tears verbally. I do not need to express them physically. It's not necessarily. I can tell you how miserable I am. I can articulate that. I don't need to. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you need like your body needs that physically. If it needs me to go boo hoo hoo, but I'm just not built that way. It's like, yeah, I don't do that. It's not a matter of being a tough guy. It's just the way I'm made. I am not a tough guy. I am not a tough guy at all. I, you know, I consider myself a cowardly human being unless I am pushed to certain extremes. And then I have a very bad homicidal temper, which I believe is a damn near hereditary trait, as I have discussed before. But there's really no reason to make this video any longer. I uh, I have been checking the views on my audiobook to see if anybody's been actually listening to it. But it really doesn't matter, but it does make me curious. I haven't fixed the first part of it yet, but it does make me curious, what people think of it, or if it's really, maybe it's a famous book and I just don't know it. I'm out of touch with what, you know, society is about, or like I am not in touch with the culture, and I don't even know if people are familiar with the book. It might be a famous book. I don't know. I just know that mine is the only copy on YouTube. Therefore, it is the best copy on YouTube. But now they have these Kindle things where you probably could listen to it on your Kindle or read it on your Kindle or however that works. Instead of having some douchebag read it to you on the internet. But I like audiobooks if they're done well because I can do other things while I listen to an audiobook. If I can do dishes while I'm listening to an audiobook and concentrate on the audiobook. But it's kind of hard to read a book with one hand and do dishes one-handed while you're reading a book. It doesn't work out, you know. Or like reading a book when you're driving, not a good plan, but you can listen to an audiobook when you're driving. I think I need to shave, man. My upper lip is itchy. What does it mean when they say when your palm is itchy? That means you're going to come into money. What does it mean if it's like your upper lip is itchy? Does that mean that I'm going to get a kiss from a beautiful woman? I think it's more likely that I'm going to get money. Or it's more likely that money will come out of my hand and then I might get a kiss from a beautiful woman. Anyways, all the best to all you people that will continue to be like shocked and amazed and hang in there with me as far about how stupid my life is. I realize like it's different watching a tragedy from the outside than being in the middle of it. But if it was me watching me, I would be like, I'm bailing, man. This is fucking too depressing. You ever watch like Slumdog Millionaire where there's like a kid blinded or something? And I mean, I was like, I just read like the what the plot was, and I'm like, I'm never ever watching this movie. So yeah, I had some guys, some shithead, say some stupid ass comment to me about like the last thing that I need is advice about benzo withdrawal from somebody crying and laying in bed. And I don't know if the guy was a troll or not, or if he was serious, but it's on the video. JJ's withdrawal advice. I wrote it to a specific person that was in severe emotional distress as sort of a gesture of kindness. So I wrote like, "Oh, is your name JJ? Are you a member of Mensa?" And then that wasn't enough for me. I had to get more verbally vicious upon them. And that's something you do not want to ever do, is piss me off in print. It's like it's something you never, ever, ever want to do, because I am an absolute monster verbally. If I can speak like this on the fly and come up with these things on the fly, just give me time to think. I play it like a chess game, and I am so many moves ahead that, and I can see where things are going. That, yeah, it's just the guy's not gonna. He shouldn't answer me back. I assume he was just being a troll or whatever. But he's like, the last thing you need is like, first of all, being in bed is comfortable and I like it, and second of all, this is a specific video for somebody whose initials were JJ, and it was like me reaching out to a person that was in severe emotional distress and showing that somebody gave a damn about them. And it's like I didn't say, because it's much more effective to say things with logic and without swearing, and to eviscerate people verbally that way than to say, "You stupid son of a bitch," which, it's much better to say, "Are you a member of Mensa?" You know, as a way of saying, "You're just a stupid moron, aren't you?" You're really not thinking this out, but it could be just a troll person. I don't know. They won't answer me back. If they do, I will fuck with them further. But, I have a long experience at written debate, and I am feared. I was actually feared to the point where people would block me and not like deal with me. And it's like, I'm a nice guy, but if you fuck with me in print, I will rip your guts out and dance in them. just I can't help it, you know. That that's my thing. That's what I can do. I'm a writer. That's what I can do. If I have time to think, you are fucked. But anyways, that just amuses me. That just reminded me of old times. That guy like saying that stupid shit like that. The things that I used to do to people, verbally, that I would actually feel bad for them. I was like, do you really understand who you're fucking with here? Do you really want this to continue? I would be like Marshall Dillon on Gunsmoke. Like, don't be a fool. Don't even go down this road. I know that makes me sound like a douchebag, but I did this for years and years, like debating like college dudes and just like humiliating them. And then I'd love to remind them of the fact that like you just got your ass handed to you by somebody with a 9.5 grade education. How does that feel? Anyways, yeah, I'm a pretty nice guy most of the time, though. It's just like you just sometimes I just got that mean streak in me. I cannot help it, and sometimes words, uh, I can use the words a lot more effectively than a machete. I'll cut you down to your goddamn soul.